Hello and welcome to this little update on what I've been messing with Rayex, my fork of it. Yeah, so I suppose we'll start with just what this module is, like the little test and what I've been working on. So first, we have the entry point into the file that can be called with just mix run no halt and then test sound. So it comes in, runs this, steps into init, which will initialize the window, set the target FPS, and initialize the audio device, which is a mini audio, pulse audio, because I'm running on Arch, because I use Arch, by the way. Then I just define some resources and a quick little throwaway. I've considered doing like module attributes, but unfortunately, it has to be like readily accessible and like changeable. So this is probably the best way of doing it. Is by handing it in kind of like a state. So that's what I'm doing. So we initialize everything. So everything's running. We load a sound from my downloads, which is test.mp3. You'll hear that in a bit. I can clean up this code later, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, our update function is recursive, so update calls update with the altered state that we have. Very similar to how Ratatouille handles their state. So, if you wanted to be in tab 1, you'd return the current tab in the resources as 1, and then if you wanted to change it, you would update with tab 2. The next time it calls update, it just changes the state. So it's a similar concept, except with much more complex data structures, because we're changing, a camera which has a position and it's a vector 3, and I plan to add a whole bunch of helper functions from Ray and Math for Elixir, so we can do a lot more transform stuff. So if we wanted to add two vectors together, we could simply do something like vec1 is equal to vector 3 dot add or something like that, and then just hand it vec1 and vec2 just for example, and then that would just be a quick and simple way to do it. So yeah, we clear our background to black, and we update the camera, which I'll show you in a bit. But first we begin drawing, and we hand it the camera that we predefined, so we have all the camera data. We just draw a basic little grid, and then we finish drawing in 3D mode, just finish drawing all together. We can close the little application that we've got with escape. We can close the window that way, so if we press escape, boom, it just closes. The cool thing about key escape is that this is actually a defined macro. So if we come over to where it's defined, def module keys using quote do, and we define a macro for that. What that lets us do is have quick and easy access to just IntelliSense. So it's a lot easier for us to just be able to see everything at a glance without a lot of pain and anguish. Yeah, so key escape, close window. If key press space, play the sound that we've got. So it'll jump in and it will play the sound that we loaded in load sound. And then it just updates again. So it just runs through, and the only thing that's really changing is, a couple of different things. In the camera controller, where we're setting resources to equal resources modified by the camera controller, we have a bunch of pretty gnarly looking is key down checks. I wish that I should figure out if there's a way to make this a little bit cleaner, but for now, for testing, this works fine. So we're saying resources is equal to, if we're getting this key down shift, update in resources, accessing the camera and position, and setting the result position to equal a modified value. So pretty much we're just saying position Y. If this was a normal thing, we could just go resources.cam.position.y plus equals 0.1, but unfortunately we're not allowed to do that because God never blessed this mess. So we have to figure out how to quote unquote it's not even mutable. It's not mutable. This is a new resources every single time, and we just return that at the end. So this is just camera control. So this is up, down, forward, backward. It's just simple, and it just returns the modified camera every single time. So what does this look like? This looks like this. So clear and mix comes up with this test sound. So we've initialized the window, the audio device is ready, as we can see down here. Frame rate's good. Holding S, W, S, W, shift to go up, control to go down, and space bar. Yeah. It's definitely a sound. I'm just gonna hit escape and close that because like the first time I managed to get this sound working, because the way I actually play this is a complete workaround, and I'll show you why. I'll show you why in a second. So the actual structure of the audio, if we look at our spec.exs, this is using Unifex, by the way. It's a way to manage your NIF files a little bit easier. We have spec load sound, and that takes in the file name, and we're defining a delegate in, I think, audio exs. Yeah, so we've got init audio device. Like, these are all the functions that I've been trying to work and add. So the one that we have is load sound, and what load sound does is it pretty much comes in, checks, okay, yeah, this exists, and then in C, load sound, we take that file name and we put it into this function called eSound. So we load sound using the file name, and this is calling like standard C stuff. So this is calling Raylib itself properly, but it's calling the result into eSound, which, if we look up here, does something fucking sinful. So we have so we pass it to sound proper, and we say, okay, this is our result. The result's ID is equal to add sound S. Where is add sound? What does add sound do? I'm sorry. It's simply just a struct with an audio lookup in it. If you do more than 512 entries, you'll get a seg fault. If you hand it the wrong ID or something that's null, you'll get a seg fault, which kind of makes sense. I mean, you wouldn't hand it null or something like that, because that would just crash your application anyway. So at least with this, it's managed through Elixir, because you're handing Elixir purely the ID of the thing. So we're just handing it, so we hand it the ID. So that first sound that we loaded under test sound, what this is doing is it's stepping in, it's coming in here, it's coming in here, it's trying to load the sound and saying, okay, this sound that we have, we will push it into entry 0, increase the amount of entries, and then return the value of 0, because that's the current size of the list. Mind you, I don't have like a removing sound yet, but I'm thinking of making this like a much better like hash map dictionary sort of thing. But in pure C, it's a bit tricky, because I'm not very strong with C. You can see I was trying to do like the hcreate and stuff using search. I'm completely ignoring WAV files right now for reasons that I will not explain and I will not elaborate. But the main gist is these are only used to really instantiate sound types. So I think it's better that we just kind of stick with sound as it is, because we're not really going to be modifying the waves as we go along. So that's kind of where we're at. So we return the result, and whenever we want to get the sound, we just return the value out of here. So one of these or one of these, So we just return the thing at the position. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been working with. I'm going to be trying to add the model loader as well. So there is, under Rayex spec, model. So we can most likely load models as is right now, but we can't load animations because it requires a pointer-pointer transform, which the original creator that I forked from had some issues with, which is likely going to end up with me using a similar kind of lookup system for the model animations. So for example, if we had GLTF format, we can load that into a model, and then if we call load model animation using that same model, we should be able to cache that in the C side, and it'd be a little bit less irritating for people to try and manage all the transforms, because the only real thing that you need out of model animations is the current animation that you're going to be looking at, the frame poses, which is going to be just like a list of transforms, I think, which is pretty much like your starting poses, and then yeah, so it's pretty much just like frame count, like 0 to 20, and then from 21 to 25 is like an idle animation, 26 to 60 can be like a walking or something like that. It just depends on how it actually loads it. I need to do some research on it, but I'm happy to give that a little bit of a look-see. Then there's hoping I'll be able to load a cow onto this grid with little googly eyes that are pointing the wrong directions, and I can press the spacebar and make the cow do like a little funny dance or something like that, just as a proof of concept for what Rayex could be doing, because Raylib is one of those libraries that has a whole lot of functionality in it that we could be leveraging in such interesting ways. Like if we only use the GUI, like Ray GUI, we would have pretty strong like applications, like even if it's just in like mostly C, but bindings to the front end, which is Elixir, that has like Ecto and stuff like that. It manages, like, you could do like IRC chats with full graphic user interfaces quite easy using that system. And yeah, I'm just happy to be tinkering away and seeing if there's any interesting, fascinating things that could be done in the future. So I'm messing around, and hopefully once it's done enough, I can do some more videos on this and be able to explain how to do things in Rayex once it's a lot more stable and isn't going to seg fault and piss its pants every 5 minutes. But like even when we're closing, we get a segmentation fault, which I imagine is because we're not clearing some pointers somewhere. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good start, and I'm looking forward to continuing to mess around. If anyone has any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. I'm _Lila in the Elixir Language server. So yeah, just say hello. I'm happy to talk about this and explain the kind of directions that I've been going in, and if you want to try and fork this, I would recommend not, because I haven't really committed much, as I've just been trying to get it as stable as possible before I do like a dedicated release for this, because right now I'm still heavily testing, so I'll probably commit what I can when I have a solid working test, and then yeah, I'll try and make it as feature complete as possible before doing like a proper update. So thank you for watching, and have a fantastic day and or night for our American people over there. I'm gonna go crack open a beer. Catches.